What's going on, guys, and welcome back to Rooted in Reptiles. Today I'll be showing you guys how to make your very own quarantine cages out of storage bins or breeding cages. So pretty simple, pretty easy, and pretty cheap. So stick with me and I'll be showing you step by step how to make these. You're watching Rooted in Reptiles, where you will find a ton of quality, evidence-based reptile keeping and captive breeding information. So to get this video started, we're going to go over all of the tools and materials that I'm using and that you'll need. You don't necessarily have to use all the power tools that I'm using, but I have them and it makes things a lot faster. So if you don't have them, you could get away with things like hand saws and or a sawzall or a hand stapler. There's various ways to skin this cat. But you'll see how I use these hand tools, and you'll see kind of how everything goes faster because of it. So we'll just kind of start from my right, your left, and work my way over. We'll start with the tools first. So first, I have a small air compressor and a hose. Then I have an air stapler. Sorry, you hear the dog barking. She has been bad, so she has to stay inside while the other two go out because she will run away right now for whatever the reason she's gotten in that habit. But anyway, back to this. So you'll need the air compressor and an air hose. I'm using an air stapler that shoots 18 gauge staples. I'm using 1-inch staples. You could go to like 3/4, and that's what I would do if I were buying a new pack of staples, but I have these 1-inch staples, so I'm making those work. And then safety glasses. You gotta have your safety glasses because you don't want to lose an eye. I'm using a circular saw, a pen. You need a pen, a bubble level or a straight edge, some type of straight edge, earplugs. You're gonna need earplugs if you're using power tools because they're flipping loud. A triangle square, an angle grinder. Your angle grinder should have a guard on it. I'm preaching safety. Mine doesn't have a guard on it. Don't follow that rule. Put a guard on your angle grinder so you don't cut your fingers off. A set of wire snips or dikes, a tape measure, and you will need a vacuum cleaner to clean everything up, as well as some extension cords to run your power tools if that's what you're using. Now, as far as materials goes, in this video, I am going to be using a 55-gallon Home Depot HDX storage tote. Right now, at least at my local Home Depots, from the time I'm shooting this video, and the date is the 24th, I believe, or the 25th of July. I can't really remember which. It's Wednesday, whichever one that is. These are on sale right now, at least around here, for $20 for this 55-gallon tub. And that is a good deal to me. So then all you'll need is some staples for whatever you're using, or screws. Small screws would work as well. You'll need a roll of hardware cloth. This is 3 feet long. It's 3 feet wide, sorry. It's 5 feet long, and it is 1/4-inch squares. This is, I believe, 21 gauge wire, 23 gauge wire. So it's pretty fine wire. It's something similar to what you would see on a screen top for an aquarium. So you'll need a roll of that. You'll be able to get 2 lids out of this for these 55s. You'll see that I'm going to be using the second half of a piece that I made for the first tub that I did. And then you will need 1 9-foot strip of this, I believe this is 5/8 by 2-inch trim board. It's just rectangular trim board. It's fairly expensive around me. Unfortunately, it's like $2 a linear foot, which blows. So you're looking at like $18 just for this stupid little strip of wood. So the strip of wood, it's $18 roughly. This galvanized hardware cloth is $15 a roll. So you're looking, you'll be able to get 2 out of these, but say you just wanted to do 1, you're looking at $18 and $15. That puts us up to $33. You're looking at $20 for the tub, and you know, however much you want to spend on staples or whatever you're going to be using to kind of fasten everything together. I would expect you to spend somewhere in the $7 mark if you didn't buy any tools or anything like that. So it's a fairly cheap project, which I'm very happy with. So on these lids, you'll see that they have these kind of stick out sides here. This is what I stapled to. This is what I stapled the wood to after I stapled the frame itself together into a rectangle. So then I can just drop that solid rectangle, and you'll see that, into this hole. So what I do is I will be measuring from this flat surface to this flat surface, and then I'll be measuring from this flat surface to this flat surface, and then that'll give me my square rectangle. And you'll see that the corners are kind of rounded, but you know, once the center is out, these sides become a lot more flexible and flimsy until you reinforce them with that new frame. Again, we will be needing 2 39 7/8 boards. So first thing, we're going to measure from the end, make sure our end is square, which it is. It's a factory end. So we need 39 and 7/8. So we mark that, double check that that's the right measurement. Now we're going to be taking our triangle square, drawing ourselves a nice straight line, taking our circular saw, making a lot of noise, and you're going to want to cut. So this is the piece we're keeping. You want to cut on this side of the line, because if you cut on this side of the piece that we're keeping, you're going to lose about a 1/4 inch off of your measurement because of the width of this blade as it spins around. So again, you want to cut on the long side because of the piece that we're keeping. So we'll go ahead and get this cut. Again, safety glasses, earplugs. Alright, now we can do is confirm that yes, that fits in there perfectly. You see that? Pretty snug fit. I'll draw the plastic in, you know, a little bit more. So we're going to go ahead and do that one more time. Two pieces that are the same length that fit lengthwise in the middle of our tub. So now we're going to go ahead and get the other sides cut. So what we're going to do is we're going to push these pieces to these corners here as best as we can. So I have them pretty well pushed up against in the corners of the tub here. Okay, so it's a good thing that I went and confirmed because the last one that I made, I cut the middle piece because you're going to be putting this piece in between these and then stapling the corners, was 13.5. So let's see here. Doesn't mean that you know, this one can't be different, but you just want to make sure that whatever you cut is what's going to be right for this lid. You know, it's I'm pretty sure that these aren't the most expensive tubs in the world, so you know, you don't want to just count that they're all perfectly the same. You know, there's probably a dozen molds that they stamp these stupid lids out with. So, you know, it could be any variance in size here. So we're going to go with we're going to go with 13.5 again. So this thing, very straightforward. What we will do here, we'll take one long piece, one short piece. You're going to stand them up on end. So like this, not like this, like this. You'll square the two edges up. And you'll run 2 staples or 2 screws, 2 small screws, right in the edge. Push the straight edge up against these edges that are sticking out and just kind of draw the lines right across them. You know, we got our lines down these sides here. Along this top is pretty easy to cut because you have this sticking out piece as a guide, and then you just use these sections up and down the sides as a guide. That's the edge that we're going to be fastening to our frame. So that's all the cutting really that I'll be doing from this side. Now we'll flip it to the back. I forgot to mention, angle grinders are made for cutting metal, but if you're going to use an angle grinder, you're going to want a cut-off wheel. It's a super thin kind of stone wheel. If you use a grinding wheel, you're going to make a bloody flipping mess out of this lid. So the cut-off wheel is nice and thin, and it basically just melts right through everything. So from this back side, we can see where these cutouts where they step in here, which is this part. You can see how it steps in. So we're just going to come right off that step, the thickness of the plastic, and cut down and across the top and right into these square corners, and then this whole lid should fall out. Right. Just like that. The center is out. Now what we're going to do is you're going to see you're going to have these little tabs from the hex pattern or the square patterning that's in them. We're going to go and knock all those off, and then we're going to kind of just pick all this melted plastic off. Okay, so then we're going to take our frame, which we have right here. We're going to set this on top of the wire, line ourselves up. We're going to set it along the edge. So we're going to line this up with the edge here so it's nice and square. Now we're going to take our dikes and we're going to come in one square from the opposite edge. So I have my one square spot here. Now you can use dikes and kind of snip your way the whole way across this freaking annoying thing, but you have a die grinder out, and use that. I'm going to show you that. So if you're going to use dikes, you're just cutting across on that whole same flat level. We're going to come in a block from the end again, so let's try and prevent anything from hanging out. Cut like 3 squares with the dikes, and then again die grinder and run this little strip off. Die grinder out of the way. Now this is the piece that we will be stapling to our frame. So, just going to lay our frame down here. Make sure that one way you can check if it's square is to just measure diagonal from corner to corner. I got like 42.25 that way. I got like 42.5 that way. So a little bit of a square, we'll pull it a little bit. 42.5 that way now, and this way is probably 42.25. Nope, that's 42.5. Okay, so we're in square. Just as if your two diagonal measurements are the same, then you know you're in square. You're going to want to make sure that you get your wire on this before it's square, because if you get to the end of this while you're stapling along and it's crooked, your wire is going to be like hanging down the side, and that's no good. So one way that I make sure that it's square, we'll flip it over so it doesn't want to roll on us. There we go. And don't worry about how loose or whatever this is. When we staple this across, it will get much, much tighter. So we're going to come in just a tiny bit from the edge to prevent any sharp edges sticking out past. We're going to square this up along this bottom edge, and then we're going to pull this out. Pull it out somewhere. Now you can kind of hold this and just make sure that you're even down this side, and then we'll set our first staple without moving this. Okay, so then we're going to come across this end, the short end. So now we're going to work down one side, one long side, and get this thing, make sure this is nice and square again. You don't want this thing to run crooked. The string is much tighter, it's not really sloppy, it's a little loose, but not too bad. Now all we have to do is take this lid, put our frame inside of it, or dip the whole way around. Now we're going to flip this over, and you want to push this plastic lid against the floor the whole way around when you staple this on, so that the plastic lid is nice and square, and so that it will line up nicely for you. So then, again, all we're going to do, we're just going to use this stapler again and staple through the parts, the flat parts that are touching the side of this wood frame. So I'm going to go ahead and get that done. top is stapled in. We'll bring our tub back. And bam, lid locks on. It's nice and flat. You can set a heat lamp. I'll go get a heat lamp quick to show you. And your tub is done. Bam, guys, just like that. You know, you've got a cheap, nice sized reptile enclosure. Either again for quarantine, for new animals, or for breeding of smaller lizards or whatever you want to keep in here. You can grow out tortoises in this if you wanted, small tortoises, you know, anything. You could do, there's a ton of uses for this. You could do half of this lid, you know, by just cutting, not cutting the whole thing out, but just cutting like half of it out and doing the screen section. If you wanted to hold higher humidity, you could cut the whole thing out and just put a sheet of plastic over half of this. This is galvanized wire, so you'll have a harder time getting this to rust. It will rust, you know, if you really wanted to, but it'll take some time. These are just cheap heat lamps that I get from Harbor Freight. They're 250 watt capable lamps. These are from Tractor Supply. They're 250 watts. They're ceramic, and they have a switch in them for $12. So you can run a 250 watt heat bulb in here. I use these for brooding chicks, so I run 250 watt bulbs in them for the chicks. But for, again, keeping things cheap and efficient, these work great. They got switches. If you really wanted this, if you didn't like the silver look, you could paint it black with some like grill spray paint, some high heat spray paint. Take this all apart, obviously, and spray the hood black. But again, you know, I really like these enclosures, and they're, again, it takes me about an hour and a half to do one of these. So, you know, I have $20 in the tub, say $20 in the wood, and $7 in the screen. So I'm at what? And probably $3 worth of staples. So I'm at say $50 and $50 and an hour and a half of labor, and I've got myself a brand new reptile enclosure. Again, the lid comes off, nice and easy. It's nice and sturdy. It's not flimsy at all. You know, you can't flex it like you might think that you could. Push it on, it locks on. You know, I'm not. You can see I'm not holding the bottom of the tub. You know, I can pick this up because it still clamps in, it still latches on. And again, you know, super easy. You don't have to use all the power tools. It'll take you more time if you don't, but if you don't have them, don't be afraid to try this. With hand saws and razor blades, you can cut this plastic lid out with like a box cutter. You know, all types of things. So the lid seals nice and tight around the edge of the wood with the staples. You know, if you were worried about something getting through there, then you could run a bead of silicone around the edge there, and that would seal it. So nothing smaller than or nothing larger than a 1/4 inch could fit out of here. If you wanted to use like window screen, like I'll be using for my dubia roaches, then you could even make this even smaller. But again, there's just a ton of uses for this. If you like this video, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, hit the thumbs up to let me know that you enjoyed it. Stick around because I will be doing a dubia roach bin video, and it's going to be $20 max, and it's going to be awesome. It's going to be well ventilated, and it's just going to be great for dubia roach breeding. I have to be breeding some dubia roaches for the lizards that I'm getting in, because not everything in this world eats dog food. Actually, most things don't eat dog food. So for any bug-eating lizards, I need to be able to produce my own feeders. I don't like the idea of buying in feeders all the time. A, it's expensive, and B, I have to order them, so it's a hassle, and C, it's kind of like a biosecurity risk. I can control what they're eating and everything if I'm breeding them here. So I'll be breeding various types of feeder insects, and I'll be going through all of those with you. So if you want more information, more how-tos and DIY videos for reptiles and feeder breeding, stay here. I'll be doing a small mouse rack, so I can be breeding and freezing pinky mice for feeders. And I mean, there's a ton of videos that are coming out. Lots of information about blue-tongued skinks. Lots of information about the new lizards that I'm hinting at, but I won't tell you just yet because I want to get them a little bit more established before I start really showing them off. But we are expanding our blue-tongued skinks. We're starting to diversify. So if you want to see more cool animals, stay tuned, subscribe, because it's going to be awesome. We're only going up from here. Have a great night, everyone, and I'll see you on the next one.